Okay, so nobody's getting the truth from the mainstream media, folks. It's well past time to open your eyes, your ears, and your mind. Do your own research because something isn't right here. And if you can't see that, you are not paying attention, folks.
It's the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations.
So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. Now that's back from high school algebra, but let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
The important message that we need Australians to get vaccinated as quickly as possible. In line with that, I do encourage all Australians to please go and book your vaccinations as soon as you can if you haven't already done so.
Emma, get away!
When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
Okay, we need to stand up against this tyranny, folks. Stop giving away your freedoms and liberties, because the more you give up, the more these people will take until you have absolutely nothing left. That's their agenda.
Still muted.
Okay, we may be going to have a little bit of trouble getting a broadcast out here, guys. Good evening. Yeah, special Sunday night. Guys, it's just a crazy topic. Again, the things we are finding out that are going on that have got to do with very normal people in very normal situations. Actually, I would probably say these are abnormal situations because of the fact that we now know from all our education why our children are being injured. And yeah, I'm a firm believer that none of these vaccines that the government's scheduling or handing out to our children, guys, are any good. You all know my thoughts on that. But what we've got, if anyone watched Beck's show last week, Beyond the Deceptions, you will find out that Beck had Naomi Holm and Theresa Kerr on the show. And they were talking about a topic which I had no idea even existed, guys. Okay. Yet this topic seems to be being used around the world, so we're told. And it is about people being accused of mistreating or shaking their babies and the so-called results of that. Now, we're finding out that a lot of these people have never even shook a baby. But there are reasons behind why these people are being accused of this and actually charged and going to jail and having their children removed. So again, guys, it's the deep state, it's the evil in the world that is again rearing its ugly head. But we have two beautiful people here who are going to come out and let us know about it tonight, exactly what's gone on. And one is Miranda Kerr's mum, guys, Theresa Kerr. We'll bring her in. We'll bring Cazz in, and Naomi Holm. And yeah, Naomi is the lady in question here with the government and this tyrannical crap that we find ourselves in. So, ladies, welcome to the show. That's a little bit of a run-in on people on what's happened. But, Cazz, before we get into the ladies, what would you like to say about this? You saw a bit of Beck's show. We don't get to catch up on everything, but I certainly did watch Beck's show, and I was absolutely flabbergasted, man. Absolutely.
The thing is, though, that we've had police detectives come out and say that they have wrongfully arrested people, and they've actually associated it with the jab as opposed to the person doing any crime. So we've had whistleblowers from within the police, and it's still going on. And I'm like, it doesn't surprise me because they seem to be so desperate to get their hands on the children. So in that respect, I'm not surprised at all. But yeah, the shaken babies, that's right. They were all in relation to the jabs. It was always within 24, 48 hours after the jab. And suddenly they're accusing the parents of basically trying to, damaging their children. But it's the way of the world. Like we've just, there's that lady in Canada. She took the vaccine, the COVID vaccine. It's put her into a wheelchair. And now the government is offering, rather than paying her, okay, they're offering her assisted suicide.
Crazy.
It is. It's absolutely wild. So, ladies, welcome to the show. You guys are pretty organised, I think, with doing this now. So, I'd just like you to relay the story, how you'd like to relay it, Naomi and Teresa. And let's let you guys have the screen here and just let these people know. Everyone share it out, guys. This is a topic that's going to blow your mind, and the normies especially need, right, to understand that. We're trying to tell them all these things. We look like crazies, but, here's a couple of things. Now, guys, I had my eldest daughter come home as a SIDS baby, all right? And we never knew why back then, but what it was straight after a vaccine. And then, we got her in special care because she was 3 months preemie or further, actually. And then we're told that she stops breathing and she needs a Grasby monitor. Well, I had no idea that, it was a vaccination they'd given her that actually, had done the damage and brought her home on a Grasby monitor. But we all live and learn, guys, and this has been happening for a long, long time. So, ladies, take it away and, please tell your story.
Nye, would you like to go first, darling, or do you want me to share some information first? Yep.
Yeah, you can go first.
Okay, darling. So first of all, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for allowing us to be present here tonight and to be able to speak with your listeners. As you said, I'm Miranda Kerr's mum and Matthew Kerr's mum, and I'm an advocate for justice and for giving a voice to the voiceless as such. In relation to shaken baby syndrome, I never knew it existed until Naomi and Zane, very dear friends of ours, actually were charged. And they, like every good parent should do, when their baby presented with a medical episode, they phoned the ambulance and then they took their baby, or the ambulance took their baby to hospital. And unfortunately, 2 days after that, they were wrongly accused of shaken baby syndrome. Now, Naomi's going to go into the detail of that. What I want to share with your listeners is we agree abuse exists. But for a baby, when a baby presents at a hospital with what they call as the triad of injuries, so brain bleeding, retinal hemorrhage, and bridging vein injury, a parent or carer is normally, in almost all circumstances, charged with shaken baby syndrome. Now, the diagnostic principle of shaken baby syndrome is based on a hypothesis of 1971 by a Dr. Norman Guthkelch. Dr. Norman Guthkelch states that he never intended what he did, his hypothesis, to become the science, but it was adopted worldwide as a science of shaken baby syndrome, and it has never been updated. We have specialists all over the world, neuropathologists, forensic scientists, biomechanical engineers, stating that it is not possible to cause the damage that they are stating is caused through shaking to a baby. A baby has to have neck damage first and foremost. And in all the cases that Michael Knott has presented at court, and he's spoken to many lawyers all over the world, they have not had one case where a baby has had neck damage. Now, what we are trying to do is to bring awareness to this subject. We're actually creating a documentary of Naomi and Zane's story, plus the story of many, many people all around the world who have been falsely accused of shaking their baby. To cut a very long story short, Naomi and Zane had to fight for 3.5 years. Their children were taken, their little baby twins who they fought so long and hard to have, they were taken from them. Zane was thrown into jail, and this is a common occurrence all over the world. And then Naomi and Zane found out the real reason why their little boy Pax had the seizures and the medical episode that he did is because he had a blood clotting disorder called CVST, which is a thrombotic genetic disorder. There are over 40 known causes of these injuries, meningitis, congenital heart disease, thrombosis, genetic conditions, many causes of these challenges. But if a baby presents at a hospital with those injuries, parents are basically guilty until proven innocent. And that has to change. Is Naomi still there, or is she she's dropped out?
We think she's been booted.
Yeah,
Right,
but we'll
okay.
get her back. She'll come back in. You just carry on, Therese. Anything you want, we're here, darling.
Yep. Okay. So when Naomi and Zane were charged, as I said, I'd never heard of this whatsoever, and we were absolutely shocked. We've known Naomi and Zane for 10 years prior to ever having babies, and they're the most beautiful, the most heart-centered, the most giving, loving people. And they fought so hard to have their little babies, and then to see them go through what they went through, to watch them go through the depths of despair, fighting to get their children back, fighting to get Jane out of prison, fighting to free Jane, to prevent him from being prisoned further. And to see them, that was just absolutely heartbreaking. Now, I'm the sort of person who delves deep into matters when I get my teeth into it. And I've researched this. I've researched the history of shaken baby syndrome. I've researched every aspect of it, spoken to forensic scientists and lawyers who are fighting for the falsely accused. And what we are doing through this documentary that we're putting together is really the only way that this will change is to generate public awareness. Through the public awareness, we will cause the science to be reviewed, this 53-year-old science that needs to be reviewed. Upon the review of that, we will stop families from continuing to be charged. We will return children to their homes. We will free wrongly incarcerated people. We'll transform the diagnostic principles of SBS. And ultimately, as I stated, we will stop this from happening to other people. Naomi will share some examples of some of the people that she knows, and I've met many since being on this journey with Naomi. I've met many other young parents, some who are in jail now. And, we need to transform this. And it is absolutely heartbreaking to see families during the time when you have newborn babies. That should be the most precious time in their life and in your life, in bringing these little children into the world, creating a family, and to see the stress and the torment and the torture. It was horrific as a friend to witness that. So I'll pass over to Nai now. Nai, you let me know when you want me to speak again, because I can speak for a week on this subject because I know it so intimately, but I want Nai to share her story.
Okay, and if you have trouble, Naomi, if you just click off you might be, as you said, you're rural, so you may have a bit of a weak signal. You're a bit pixelated, but sometimes if you're having trouble or you think it's breaking up, just shut your camera down and it'll give all the feed to your voice. So just so you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
We've got you loud and clear, darling.
Yeah. Sorry if I cough, actually, because I'm getting a bit of a tickle in my throat. So if I start, you can take over from me, Therese. So, it's quite, I don't know where to start. It's quite devastating. It's, sorry, I'm going to cough. I'm really, really sorry. Therese, can you take over for me?
Yes,
right.
yes, my darling.
You need some hydroxychloroquine in the background there. I think you need to,
Yeah. So
some honey,
anyway,
and lemon. Yeah.
I've just been at Naomi's and Zane's, and we're actually going on the project very soon, which will be very exciting to be able to share the story. In relation to why we're doing this, or I mentioned about doing the documentary, we're actually put a mini film together, and the mini film details Naomi's story, and it details the history of SBS, or AHT, aggravated head trauma, as it's now known in America. They changed the name. It details all of that, and we put the submission to Angel Studios. Only 5% of all submissions to Angel Studios pass. So we've passed the first stage, but what they do is they then put it out to the public to vote. And it really can't be made unless the public votes yes for it to be made. Yes, it's shining a light on, or it's amplifying light, because they only do stories that amplify light. And I want to clarify that for any listeners. This amplifies light or shines light on an industry as such. And it's a $10 billion industry, and it's shining a light so that we can transform the industry and prevent this from happening to other families and other people, grandparents, carers. There are many, many people who are in prison. There are, according to Wayne Squire, who is a neuropathologist, a world-leading neuropathologist, there are over 5 people on death row in America just alone for falsely accused shaken baby syndrome. She used to prosecute parents, work to help prosecute them. She now is done a complete turnaround and said the science does not support it. She now works to defend those parents and or carers or grandparents. And even Dr. Norman Guthkelch, he spent his last 4 to 5 years of his life trying to right the wrongs. When you watch the mini film, you will see that he states it was only ever meant to be a hypothesis, but unfortunately it has turned into a pathway to jail for parents. And he tried to right that wrong. So Nye, do you want to come in now, darling? How's your throat?
Yeah, we'll see how we go. So sorry about that. So I guess what I'd like to say is it's been a long time. It's been on the 5th, which was just 4 days ago, it's been 6 years since Zane and I were first accused of child abuse. And what I want to say is Zane and I, we tried for 10 years to have babies, and we threw just over $100,000 at fertility. Before Zane and I were together, I was ready to have babies in my first long relationship. So I'd been waiting my whole adult life to become a mum. And I've had good career. I've had some great success in my life. I'm surrounded by majority of great family and great friends. Like I've got lifelong friends as well. My mum's like my best friend. My nan is still alive. I speak to her every second week without fail. You know, we're a close knit. I come from a very close knit family, and you think when you finally fall pregnant, when you've been through a fertility journey like I have, and it wasn't an easy journey, let me tell you, you think that when you finally got these, not just one, twin boys, you feel like you've hit some sort of jackpot in life. And bear in mind, I was 43 by the time I had them. And I had the house, I'd had the career, I had the money in the bank, I had a side hustle, I had all my ducks lined up. I was ready to be a full-time mum. I was very passionate in the wellness space. So I was dabbling in something that I was passionate about. And I thought, this is it. Like, I can just cruise through these years with my twins and I can be very present for them. And that's just not the way it worked out at all. And the sadness I have around that is deep, because they robbed me and Zane they robbed our whole family, really, but they robbed us of what should have been the most precious years that we had waited so long. You know, I'd waited my whole adult life to be a mum, and, you know, it was just stolen from me. So it was stolen from us, but I can only speak for me, right? So you can probably hear one of them yelling out in the background. And no amount of money will ever bring back those years. I'm 50 in August, and I'm definitely not having any more babies. This body has shut shop for that area. So I can't even entertain that thought, even if I wanted to. And you know, the government's got a lot to answer for in that regard, because there's so many moving parts to this story, and that's why it needs to be told at that big audience level, that film or documentary, or our life could make a 6-series true life drama, like how we've navigated this, the mental health impact that it's had on Zane and I, the survival, the money, the loss, the highs, the lows, the in the trenches. But the most shocking part, the part that every day I think I wake up and I'm disappointed in, is the system.
Yeah,
The
I get it.
system failed us, but it's not about Zane and I. The system failed an innocent newborn baby.
Yeah, and I'd like to come in there, Naomi, because from what I've just heard, all right, now they don't obviously look, and Teresa or Naomi, whoever answers it, but they obviously don't look, because your background here, you just spent over $100,000 trying to get kids. Do you think you are the type of person that is going to get, after spending $100,000 going through all this IVF programs to try and get your babies, that you are actually going to mistreat them? I mean, you know, the common sense side of the factor here is just missing from the equation altogether, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, like, they wouldn't listen to me. Like, so
Mother's intuition.
Yeah, like they didn't even listen to me. So, you know, like I said, there's a lot of moving parts to this story and this journey. And I'll tell you what I'm angry about the most. I'm angry that they robbed us of years we will never get back. No amount of money will ever get that time back. And that makes me sad, because I'd only been home for a very short period, like a few weeks, two or 3 weeks. And when we were falsely accused. So imagine, I'm still healing from surgery because I didn't have an easy pregnancy. I nearly lost my life. I spent 3 months in the private hospital, John Flynn Private Hospital. Not the hospital. I'd just like to clarify this. That is not the hospital that accused us of child abuse. That was Gold Coast
Let's
University.
go there in a minute, because, we need to know, because I've heard that there's a bit of compilation of the same doctor, same hospital, same results on innocent people. Yeah.
Yep. So from what we know, Zane and I, when we were accused, we were one of 11 families accused at the Gold Coast University Hospital for the same thing. Now, what I can tell you is I know a number of those families. And when you compare the reports that the detectives wrote on the mothers, there's a very similar vibe happening. And let me tell you what they wrote. Apparently, I'm codependent on Zane, and that is why I was too scared to come forward and admit to a crime that he apparently committed, because he pays for everything, and I'm scared of him.
You said before that you had everything set up here before you even met Zane. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Zane here, but hang on. From what I'm hearing, you were already set yourself up. You'd already
I was independent. I was very independent. Zane definitely, I was definitely not codependent on Zane by any means. We're equal, and I'm definitely not scared of him. Let's just get that straight. So, you know, and I thought, if you're going to write something about someone, at least be a real detective and do your detective work and get it a little bit more factual and believable. So that made me really agitated. Everyone that read that report on my character laughed and went, my mother said, "Oh, have they mixed you up with someone else?"
Naomi, this is not the first time I've heard of police writing false reports. Like one of the stories that I've been told is that the police have actually have filled out a domestic violence order without the wife's permission, without no domestic violence ever, and they did it to spite them, because she wouldn't come along with some sort of testimony. So they put a domestic violence order on them without either of the. She had to fight it in court to get it taken off.
Well, let me tell you about the night that they took the twins from me. So the day before, they swept in. Now, keep in mind, this is 7 months later. This is 7 months after Gold Coast University labelled us child abusers. They swept in, they charged Zane with a crime he never committed and threw him in jail. We were lawyered up, and the lawyer went in, got him out on bail. He had to surrender his passport. He was happy to do all that because he wasn't guilty. He was like, I'll do whatever you need to do. Got him out. We went home. We just got the twins down. It had been a massive day, very emotional day. Zane was not happy, as you wouldn't be, spending a night in jail. They were very cruel to Zane that night while he was in jail, and we'll save that for the film. But absolutely disgusting, like just horrid. And then they obviously didn't like that Zane got out on bail and was able to come home to his family. He's never had a record, or he's never been in trouble with the law before. So I was in the courtroom. The judge was like, "Yeah, there's nothing here. You can go home." And they didn't like that. So they got a magistrate to sign off. And what I know is that they showed a small snippet of a text message that could have been misconstrued in any way, depending on who was reading it. It could be bad, it could be good. Like, it depends on the tone, it depends. Instead of showing the magistrate the entire text, they showed the magistrate a small part of the text and then put their own narrative on it, their own spin, and basically implied that the twins were in danger, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. Those twins were so loved and so wanted. I mean, I'd never put anything on their body except organic. I never fed them anything except organic stuff. Like, they were loved, they were nurtured, they were wanted. And these people came into my home. Now, these are strangers to me, and I don't care if there's two people in police uniforms or not. We're supposed to just hand over our babies to the government to walk out at 9, 10 o'clock at night. what good mother is okay with that? What good father is okay with that? That was the most traumatic night of my life. I actually stalled them for 2 hours. I got my mum there. Zane just looked like he was going to collapse or do something crazy, like he was losing it. He was broken. And I was just screaming, saying, why? Why? Based on what evidence? Zane was like, I'll leave. My mum was there going, I'll take the babies. Zane will leave and I'll take the babies. They didn't want a bar of any of it. Here we are, a decent family, putting our hands up, going, we'll do anything.
Yeah, making excuses to actually help the system to do whatever you can. Like, insane.
Like, just, if you've got a problem, but apparently it was me. So that night it was me they were targeting, and this is what I think. They were pushing me to the limits, thinking that if they corner me, I'm going to choose my babies over Zane.
Yep.
Right? And I'm going to dob him in for something he didn't do, or they're so warped in their own narrative and they actually believe that he did do something and they're pushing me to my limits to break. But the reality was, we knew something wasn't right with Pax. We knew something wasn't right with Pax from the moment he was born. And I knew that Pax got sicker from when he was vaccinated. And they wouldn't listen to me. So it turns out that Pax has a rare blood clotting disorder called CVST. Now, the doctors at Gold Coast University Hospital didn't find that out. I had to find that out 3 years later. And why did it take me 3 years? Because the government wouldn't let me go doctor shopping to find someone to actually get the test done. Then they raised, maybe I've got Munchausen's proxy disorder. Are you kidding me? Oh, you can't go doctor shopping. Oh, what? I can't go find a doctor that will give my son the tests he needs because I know he wasn't shaken.
From the medical care.
It was ridiculous. I was like, are we in Australia? Is this what happens? This is absurd. And then I kept saying, you know what? You've messed with the wrong woman. You've messed with the wrong family. If I can spend 100,000+ on fertility, I'll spend 100,000+ more, whatever I can do to bring this truth out. Now, 6 years on, my heart breaks, not for what Zane and I have gone through, but what the hundreds and thousands of mums just like me and dads just like Zane are going through, not just in Australia, all over the world. This is an issue all over the world.
Okay.
We've had
Can I just come in on Therese for a minute? Because Therese, here we are, and don't take this as anything, but Miranda Kerr's mum. Okay, you've seen the world. You've seen your daughter perform on the highest stages, around this planet or whatever we live on here, this pie. I don't care what it is, but I mean, your daughter, you've seen through your family, the highs of living life and being Australian and having success and the tall poppy syndrome. Did you ever, in a million years, while you were going through that lifestyle with your family, ever think that our constabulary, our police, our governments, and everything else could be as corrupt as what you are finding right now?
It's crazy. I've been awake for a very, very, very long time in regard to that. And COVID has waken up so many more people, thankfully, in regard to that. What I'd like to say, when what has happened to Naomi and Zane, if it can happen to Naomi and Zane, it can happen to anyone. Our beautiful daughter has just had another baby. He's only nearly 4 months old. as such. And I warned my family. When you know somebody who has had their lives literally torn to pieces and then had no explanation when the case was dropped against Zane, there's no explanation, no apology, no compensation whatsoever. When you see that happen to Naomi and Zane, people like Naomi and Zane, who are just a normal, everyday, beautiful, hardworking, middle-class couple, when you see that happen to them, you know that that can happen to anyone, regardless of where you are in society. You know, it can happen to anyone. And
Is
my
happening,
biggest fear
Teresa.
is that it could happen to my family. But knowing what I know now and having met the people who I have met, it is absolutely gut wrenching. And I have to tell you, when I talk about this, I get upset because there is a young woman, you know, in Queensland who her husband and she have been charged. They had their baby taken from them while they're awaiting trial, which can take a couple of years, if not longer, because Naomi and Zane were through COVID. It took 3.5 years for them to actually prove his innocence, have the charges dropped. This young woman, they've been going through this. She's fallen pregnant again, and they have said, the authorities have said, I will take, or we will take your baby when you have it. So while they're still awaiting trial, they're going to told her, could you imagine the heartbreak of carrying a baby and then being told, when you have your baby, we're taking that baby? And then there's another young couple who unfortunately had 6 children. Their 6th baby died suddenly. They were charged with murder. When they were charged, their 5 other children were taken from them. They were fighting for years to get their children back. They're in jail and their little children are lost in the foster system. How can I stand by or sit by and allow that to happen? And then our mini film that we put together, and it was seen by Robert Robertson's, who's on death row in America. Robert Robertson's lawyers reached out to us after he saw our film, and he's pleading for our help to help share his story as well, and the story of other people going through this, because he was falsely accused of harming his baby, where the science and the scientists are saying he did not do it, but the medical establishment is not listening. How can I stand by and not do something? We have a public profile as a family. We need to transform this system so that it doesn't continue to happen, and that the diagnostic principles of shaken baby syndrome are rocked to their core and real science is introduced. So, anyway,
well, if there's people like that in America, I did thought that example was UK, but if you're correct in America, we can certainly help there with getting you guys onto some American shows over there, right? And blowing this topic out of the water. So I'll organise that for you, no problem at all.
Yeah. Well, the Innocence Project is an organisation over in America that stands for wrongly accused in all things. They're really speaking out about Robert Robertson, but he has an impending execution. They are waiting for his execution date to be set, and they're just appealing to us for help. So if you can help us get the message out over there. We also have a global website, a not-for-profit that Naomi has put together. I'm a director. Dr. Chris Brooks, a forensic scientist, is a director. It's the Parental Voice, and we encourage your listeners to go to that website and also to go to our YouTube and our Instagram and Facebook. That is there to help parents with resources, to refer them to the right people, to showcase to the public what's actually happening and how we can work together to transform it. And our documentary is a way that the people power can come together to make people aware, to generate the awareness needed to bring this out into the spotlight. Just like there's a documentary called Take Care of Maya. I don't know if any of your listeners have watched that, but it is a gut-wrenching story that woke the world up, and it was absolutely horrific. And that was on Munchausen's by proxy as such, and an absolutely terrible, terrible story. What we are doing is doing a documentary or a film, whichever we choose. We've got the mini film already prepared, but we're doing that to be able to shed the light so that we can be the difference all these families need around the world.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
Hmm.
Yeah, like just wow. It's just incredible. You know what we're finding out here, and again, you know, we got people sitting on death row. This is just so incredible. I mean, they've already, you know, probably, you know, the children they've stolen, given a death sentence to those children already, you know, within the foster system. And we all know what happens, guys. All right. We're not naive anymore. All right. We know the background target and why they do this. And yeah. And oh, man,
Can I?
I don't know. I'm gobsmacked. I can't. I know so much, and I've learnt so much over this time that we've been doing this show for 4 years or whatever it is, you know, and still I come out to find topics like this that I didn't even know about, which actually in relationship, you know, I mean, to my daughter when she was young, you know, and we're all starting to work it back, guys, that this is all vaccine related.
Yeah.
You
Can I
know,
just share?
yeah,
Oh,
come in.
sorry. Can I just share that Pax has CVST? Zane has a thrombotic condition. Zane's father, so it's the biological male parental line that has this thrombotic condition. Zen, the twin, has a genetic thrombotic condition. Now, CVST in babies is normally fatal. Now, thank God, Pax didn't pass away when he was going through his medical episode, which he very well could have. Zane would have been charged with murder if that would have happened. And how horrific is that when all it would have taken was one blood test to determine that he had a thrombotic condition, which is linked to, and in the research by the scientists, they say that that is one of the conditions that can lead to these injuries that are deemed shaken baby syndrome. And we're not saying by all means that all babies presenting with this as vaccine injured. You know, we're not saying that. We're just saying that there are other causes that need to be looked at, and some babies shouldn't have been vaccinated in the first place as such. So, you know, Nai, you may want to speak more about that, lovely.
Yeah, so what we know today is that Pax should never have been vaccinated. Now, before COVID, they had an exemption. The government had an exemption that a doctor could actually apply for based on different information, different medical information on the patient. But through COVID, the government actually removed that that function. And so by the time we had found out that Pax had CVST, and can I just say that we had to get a doctor in Canada, a neurosurgeon in Canada who had 21 years experience to actually tell us that he thought it was this condition, and that I had to find someone to do the test. And I just want to also tell you that the genomics lab in Brisbane, which does all the genetic testing, refused to do Pax's testing because we were part of a criminal investigation. Now, that is a baby. That is an innocent baby. So can you imagine how scared I was learning that not only is my baby sick, there is no one in Australia that will take him through the proper tests to find out what the real cause was. That is frightening. And it shouldn't be that way.
Okay,
No,
so
the tyranny is
yeah,
just
go,
so.
Cazz.
No, the tyranny, the medical tyranny, in conjunction, in lockstep with the police tyranny. You know, the judicial system is just outrageous, isn't it?
Now, can we ask who this doctor and hospital is? Can we make them famous?
Well, we're going to save that because we've got
Okay.
enough ammunition. Let's just say it's the Gold Coast University Hospital, and she's
Okay.
not liked, can I tell you? And I would actually love to put her on the stand. She has a lot to answer for. And I would love a full inquiry done on her. They need to completely have a look at her, and why is she accusing so many families of the same thing with no evidence, and why is a hospital that's supposed to be a training ground, why aren't they following through with their tests? You know, they wiped their hands of little Cazz 2 days after we were admitted. They very quickly said it was child abuse and literally wiped their hands and said, oh, we know what's wrong with him now. So all I had was to pray. I prayed and I prayed and I prayed because no doctor would listen to me. I had nowhere else to go. I had the hospital saying we were child abusers. The police were protecting the narrative of the accusing doctor. They weren't I thought detectives were actually detectives. I thought that they looked and sought out the truth. Well, no, what a joke that is too. They weren't interested in our version. They didn't even want to hear it from the get-go. At the hospital, when I should have been by my baby son's side, they're splitting Zane and I up into secret rooms and pretending to cast this evil narrative. I don't know how they sleep at night.
One of the things that Jackie Dundee's brought up is that what they do is they'll get somebody and they'll charge them with about 5 different things, and it's all the same thing. It's just different wording. And then what they do is they basically get them to go get their lawyers, or their lawyers do the deal breakers, and they go, oh, okay, well, we'll drop 3 charges if you plead guilty to 2. And so what she said is that we've got innocent people sitting in jail, rotting in jail, because they've had to do this because of the way that they structure it.
But you know what? It's cruel. It's absolutely cruel, because while they're all carrying on, little Pax was fighting for his life. And he
not being able to get the tests that he needed to actually even do the diagnosis.
I mean, Pax was resuscitated at birth. He was born not breathing. He was half the weight of his twin brother. He wasn't well. And this poor little kid, this poor innocent little baby, you think you're going to the hospital to seek medical attention and advice and empathy and help. I get it. There must be some babies or children that are presented not great and beaten up, and there is a real issue of child abuse, but you would see it. There would be signs. If someone shook a baby, the weakest part of a baby is its neck. There would be neck damage. There wasn't a mark on our beautiful little boy.
Can I just share, Nye, that also with shaken baby syndrome, they say that the damage, the retinal hemorrhage, the brain bleeding, the bridging vein injury is equivalent to falling from a 6-story building. As such, they say that you can shake a baby to that level. Well, the biomechanical engineers are saying that is not possible. The new science is saying it is not possible to do that to a baby without first incurring neck damage. And that's where Michael Knott is a specialist in this field, as such, has been helping parents and helping people falsely accused. But unfortunately, most people do not have the means, financial or otherwise, to fight their cases. Most people, sadly, plead guilty because they're encouraged to by the police as such. And then you get a lot of men, for instance, who will actually take a plea bargain just to have their children returned home.
And I'm telling you, no one, by the time you go through this, by the time you come out the other end, you're exhausted, you're broken. Michael Knott told me that in all his matters, the parents don't stick by each other, sadly. They're not broken, they're shattered. The families are shattered. We've lost everything. We lost everything, but to me, that's just what money can buy. Yes, it has traumatized us, but I'm strong and I was put on this earth. I now know why. But for years I thought, why do I why am I so passionate about things? Well, maybe it was just practicing and exercising those muscles for this. But now that I know what I know, I can't unknow it. And I can't just get on with my life and live in a bubble. I can't do it. And no disrespect to anyone that has gone through this and has decided to take that path.
Yeah.
But I will be your voice. No one has challenged this. This needs to be challenged. Pax is amazing. He is my strong little fighter. He's stronger than me, and that's scary. So he is a force to be reckoned with. But sadly, both the twins have autism. They've got their challenges. Lucky I can homeschool them and spend quality time with them. They've got their mum 24/7. We're creating a life that we love and we're making the most of it. But I just, if there's anyone listening to this and it evokes an emotion, please vote for our film to be made, because these are the same people that filmed The Sound of Freedom.
Yeah.
Angel
Lewis
Studio.
Holmes, yeah.
Angel Studios. Only 5% of submissions get approved. We got our submission approved. So we're in the top 5%. We just need to make the next top 1% and actually get it over the line. And it's power to the people. We need those votes. It does cost, unfortunately. It's $12 if you sign up on a computer, not a phone. But we would
That's
love...
for the month.
Yeah, that's for the month. We'd love the power of the people to get behind us. This film needs to be made. This will save lives. This will prevent lives from being crushed. This will prevent innocent babies being put in foster care where they don't belong. My babies did not belong in foster care for a week, for a day, for a minute. I did not deserve to have those babies taken from me, from our home. They were cruel. The system, the way it is, it's geared to make everyone guilty before they've even got a chance to even try and prove their innocence. And sadly, most people don't have the means or the money to fight. So they take a guilty plea. And what happens when people take a guilty plea? It shows that statistically there's an issue there and shaken baby syndrome is real.
Yeah.
And it's not real. So we need to get rid of the junk science. We live in a modern world and we need to be able to use the real science, get rid of poor Dr. Norman's hypothesis that he begged until he died to stop being used as an easy way into a jail cell. Let's wake up, please, stop doing this. You are tearing families apart and you're traumatizing children. I love hearing the term thrown around lately on social media, generational trauma. It's an interesting topic, that one, because from where I'm sitting, the government is creating generational trauma by the masses. Why are they doing that?
Exactly.
Because it's an industry.
It's by design.
Yep. Can
Absolutely.
I also, sorry, can I just jump in as well? So I just want to clarify why you need to sign up for 1 month is you can only vote on this documentary if you're a guild member. As such, to be a guild member, that's why you have to pay the $12 US for the 1 month to be able to vote. We really implore you to vote. I also want to share one thing Naomi didn't share is when Zane was released out of jail, she was not permitted to live by herself with her babies. She had to live with her mother, and Zane was not allowed to live with her and her children and her mum for 3.5 years.
You're
So
joking.
that precious family lost every ounce of normality of what it was like to have beautiful little babies that they had longed for. They had waited or wanted to have children for 10 years. They went through an IVF program for 4+ years as such. They finally got to have babies, and they were taken from them, and they couldn't celebrate their time as a family. And that, to me, is rotten to the core.
You ain't kidding. All right. Well, listen, we have got some great people over in America. I'm dealing with people now in Mexico, Canada, America, that are in with a few of these film producers that you're talking about. So we're going to really kick this thing in the arse, I think, and get it cracking, Therese and Naomi. That's what I would like to do over in the States for you. So I'll get onto that straight away. But look, guys, I don't look. We at the moment, everyone just pray. You know what I mean? Because that's what we do need here, guys. Is some protection, some prayer, all right, and some good vibes. You know, coming to these people, and there's a lot more people that obviously out there under the same pressures. And again, guys, this is all by design. Okay, we know why they're doing it and what they're doing. Okay, and as I've said to you, it's a 5-finger approach on everything they do. There's another 5 and another 5 and another 5. They make sure they dry that everything they can get into that sponge they get, and then they just wring it out on us. So, ladies, I just want to thank you. Naomi, I don't know what to say. You know, we've been through our own, you know, trials and tribulations, me and my wife, obviously. But yeah, look, you are one hell of a woman. Yeah, just keep fighting like you're fighting, mate. You are an absolute inspiration. And yeah, I don't really know what else to say to you, darling, except I'll be helping all I can in the background to yeah, move this along and get it out there. So guys, share it out everywhere. I'm going to send this over to TrueStream and a few other people, and give them a look at this interview, and then from there we'll get you over into America and see if we can get this thing cracking. Because as I say, I'm dealing with a few of the people that are in this movie industry. So if I haven't got a little bit of force over there, I'll be finding out why I haven't actually now. So yeah.
No, thank you. Can I also share that our documentary will also not just cover Naomi and Zane's stories, but families internationally. So in the US, other families here in Australia, in Europe as such, very big. This challenge is very, very big. It's happening all over the world, in Canada, in France, in Japan. Just about every country around the world is touched by this, but most people don't know about it. It's a silent epidemic because the children's courts keep it that way. So we need to blow the lid on this so that we can be the transformation that this industry needs.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Certainly. Okay, and I think what's taking us out tonight, guys, is something that I've thrown over to Cazz, if I'm correct. And yeah, it's just a quick song, guys, I like to finish on, but it's I'm pretty sure it's Sultans of Swing and it's Brothers in Arms. All right, and that's what we are here. Okay, so what an outro we've got. All right, let's link arms. Let's pray about this, guys, and let's get the movement of God behind the movement of these children, okay, and get something done here. So thanks again, ladies. Absolute pleasure to have you. We'll be doing all we can for you, and I'm sure you'll be seeing an American audience very, very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
These mist-covered mountains are home now for me, but my home is the lowlands, and always will be. Someday you'll return your valleys and your farms, and you'll no longer burn to be brothers in arms. destruction, baptisms of fire. I witness your suffering as the battle raged high. And oh, they did hurt me so bad, in the fear and alarm. You did not desert me, my brothers in There's so many different worlds, so many different suns. We have just one world, but we live in different ones. Now the sun's gone to hell, moon's riding high. Let me bid you farewell. Every man has to die. What is written in the starlight